to be here with you another week. March is National Women's History Month, if you're aware, and I just wanted to talk to the women today. Of course, these tips always go for men, for women, even for young adults as well, children, whoever is willing to apply them. But because March is National Women's History Month, I want us to just take a few moments and just honor all the women that have gone up there before us, who have paved the way and who have made us who we are today, right? And so I'm sure we are women now who are making history, and we're going to be the ones who will step out and go forth to do greater things, and other women will look up to us in our generation. Okay, so what I want to share with you on today, I want to share with you the power of balance, okay? The power of balance. We're going to deal with something so awesome today. Our topic is going to bless you today. But before I do that, I just want to tell you there's a few new items that I have. I'm so excited. You all have already known about my wonderful book that I've made, and this book continues to bless the lives of people all around the world. This book continues to empower people in different countries. I want to continue to encourage you to order this, inbox us, tell us your comments, your suggestions, everything that you loved about this book. We'd love to hear from you, right? We'd love to be able to share with our viewers and our followers how this book has blessed your life. It's only $15, 15 US dollars. You can get it immediately. We have the ebook and we have the hard copy. So please just inbox us. Let us know you're interested, and you'll be able to order this book. Also, we're really excited about our latest thing that has happened for us. My single is coming out. Some of you know and some of you don't. I'm also a psalmist. So my single is coming out, and the single is entitled My Status Changed. Listen, if you need a song to meditate, a song to think about to get you pumped and going for the day, this is the song to do it. You need a song to exercise to, this is the song to do it. It has declarations in it that are going to change your life, change your family. It's going to empower you. So I want to encourage you, get your copy today. This is the audio CD. We also have it on digital platforms and USB format, so you can get that. March the 25th, the actual CD will be available on all digital outlets, and you'll be able to purchase from there. But prior to that, you will be having to purchase from my particular office. All right, so just let us know if that's something that you like to have, My Status Change CD. Also, I've been traveling the world. I've been out and about traveling the world, going around into different countries, and I just got back from Ghana. It was an amazing trip, right? It was a wonderful 2 weeks of opportunity to go into the country, to speak and to meet and to be empowered with so many other people. Can I just share with you how awesome it is that I've got these beautiful fans from Ghana that you're able to purchase, right? You're able to purchase for only $10. You're going to have a handmade, handcrafted, wonderful fan. The spring and summer are coming up. You know, you can swat away those bugs. You can just, when you're having, you know, you're warm, you need to just fan yourself and cool off. It gives you a wonderful breeze, and I know this is going to bless you. So again, reach out to us. Ask about this wonderful product. We have these fans for only 10 US dollars, all the way from Ghana, Africa. I'm telling you, they're going so fast. We've already ordered our second batch. You don't want to be the one without your custom-made fan. So make sure that you order yours today. All right? So now let's go into our lesson on today. Let's talk about this wonderful lesson that we're going to share on today. Our lesson for today is going to be on balance. All right? The topic for today is balance. And so this is a powerful lesson that I know you're going to be, you know, empowered by, you're going to be blessed by. Listen, today When I think about balance, you know, it's something that I'm sure many people think about. Is something that, you know, we need to deal with. Why? Because balance is needed in all of our lives, right? But unfortunately, many times we don't see balance. We don't see it functioning in our lives. And then we need to understand that it takes effort really to create a balanced life, right? And so balance simply is stability and steadiness, all right? It's stability and steadiness that's in a person's life, okay? But it's also a condition where different elements are equal or in correct proportions. All right, and this is very important. When I think about this topic, balance, I believe that all of us can work on it, right? Balance definitely is a condition in which different elements are in equal or correct proportions, okay? So that means, you know, we need to balance how we sleep. We need to balance how we eat. We need to balance our relationship, balance our rest time, balance our work time, balance our finances, balance our family, right? There's so many areas that we can need balance in, right? But the first thing I want to say to you that is so important, that balance must start in you. Okay, anytime you're going to talk about balance, you can never balance anything until balance first starts in me, right? It starts in you. Okay, so when I think about balance in my life, one of the things I have to recognize is what areas that is not good for me, right? That I'm doing everything and anything, but I don't have a proportion. I have not proportioned it out to function in a proper way. So balance, if it's not done, it is not evenly distributed in my life, right? Balance can easily be a good weight, or if I have a lack of balance, it can be, right, undistributed equal amount of weight, okay? So it's something that really needs to remain upright. I need to remain stable. I need to remain steady. But remember, again, balance, I said, is a condition in which different elements are equal or operating in correct proportions, okay? So every time I think about balance, I need to make sure, am I functioning in the correct proportion? Okay, so I have to understand that balance happens with order and balance happens with organization. Okay, I'll say that again. Balance happens with order and balance happens with organization. So being able to be balanced means I have to put things in priority. All right, I have to put things in priority. If I'm going to be balanced, I have to figure out what is most important. Okay, I can't be balanced and thinking everything has the same weight, that everything has the same equality, everything should be all measured on the same level, right? No, when I'm balancing, I have to balance according to priority. So what is the most important thing that I need to have on my list first for balance to manifest, all right? I have to be able to say no to some things, all right? All right, after I put those things in priority and I know what has the most weight, I understand what needs to be dealt with the most, then I need to know what things do I need to say no to, okay? If I'm going to function in this prospect of balance in my life, there are going to be specific things that I have to say no to, okay? And I need to recognize what are the things that I'm going to say no to in order for the fulfillment of my balance to be in my life, okay? I need to know what I need to accomplish in a set amount of time per day, right? If I'm balancing myself, we know the average person may work 8 hours per day, some 10, some 12, some 5, some 4, some 6 hours. So, you know, I have to understand and know what am I going to accomplish in that set time per day. So if it's work, then I have those work allotted hours that I have in position and in place. But then outside of work, remember that I have to also balance my rest of the day, okay? So I have to balance my family, my eating time, my exercise, my rest time. All of those things need to be calculated so that I make sure that I have a proper balance, all right? I understand what it is I need to do. I understand how to function. I understand how to operate. So if I'm going to balance my life, I've got to get a good schedule, right? You can just type right in there, get a schedule, okay? Get a schedule. No matter how much you say, you know what, I'm going to balance it, or I know what I'm going to do, or it's in my mind, it's in my head. No, make sure you get a schedule. Go in and say, you know what, let me write down what it is I need to accomplish for the day. Let me make sure I get those tasks done. And then also maybe make sure that they are in a balanced proportion. Okay, so the schedule really is going to tell me what I do all day long. So how do I know if my life is imbalanced? If you look and see that one particular area you're giving all of your space to, or more than 50, more than 80% of your space to, then you know I have to go in and rework to balance those areas. Now remember what I said, balance must start in you first. So you have to recognize when you need rest. You have to recognize when you need family time. You have to recognize when you need intimacy. You have to recognize when you need to lay on the beach and do nothing. You have to recognize when it's time to educate and read and push yourself to the next level. You have to recognize, you know, when it is time for you to be groomed or prepared for you to look a certain way or be a certain way or be around a certain group of people. So everything that you do, remember, it's all going to be based upon your level of balance or imbalance. Now, sometimes people say to get ahead, you have to imbalance yourself because you're pushing yourself so hard. I think that it's still important when you're talking about advancing or growing or maturing in your life, in your career, in your family, with your children, no matter what aspect it may be, that you're still going to have a state of balance, right? Because if you neglect your home to get a particular thing done, guess what? Later, when you're ready to spend time with those people, they won't be there. So you need to have balance. You need to make sure that you put things together, right? Put a schedule together that should tell you what you should be doing all day long. All right. Next thing you need to do is you need to start a new pattern. Okay. In order to create balance, a lot of times people struggle because they don't have proper patterns in place. They don't have proper things in place that will keep them functioning in the direction of where they need to go. So you need to have the proper pattern in place so that it helps you to be able to operate in the capacity that is needed. Right. So if I'm going to fulfill that, then I need to know how to move forward, create a new pattern with my new schedule. Okay, create new patterns, meaning that I'm going to interject, you know, maybe a lunch break. I'm going to interject maybe a time of resting in between. I'm going to interject, you know, something to work out my schedule and start a new pattern that's going to create balance. You know what? I love it. I was in Europe, and I was in that country, and I saw how they said, you know what, we work a certain time in the morning, but then we have a break so that people can rest, people can refresh themselves, and then they come back at a later time in the evening. And so it's not a consistent, you know, 8-hour or 6-hour workday. They have things planned in a way that people have a space to have balance, have recreation, be able to have lunch, go out with their family, maybe pick up their kids, do different things, and then come back to work. I thought that was amazing when I saw that in Europe, in those countries, how they, you know, literally took the time to create a new pattern and built that pattern into their workforce and their community so that the people would learn to have balance. All right. So ask yourself, you know, you have to continue to look at yourself and say, you know, do I have balance? Because the balance starts in you. Imbalance starts with you, and proper balance starts with you. If I'm imbalanced, that means I gave too much of one particular thing for too long, which has caused me to be imbalanced, right? If you think about a child's teeter-totter, and in a teeter-totter, when there's too much weight in a particular thing, it's like this, right? When there's too much weight on the other side, it's like this. But guess what? When it is actually operating and balanced properly, it's sitting like this, right? And that means you have to get the proper weight on every side in order for it to be balanced. So I want you to think about that. You're going to create new patterns that will balance your life, right? So if I follow this pattern consistently, then I learn how to balance. balanced, okay? So when I'm balanced, I have to learn to start, from the day-to-day activities, all right? I have to learn to start with my day-to-day activities. Look at what I do, look at my patterns of life, look at how I operate, how I eat, how I sleep, how I work, all of that. Look at those things and then begin to evaluate. All right. I have to learn to schedule in fun activities. Okay. If I'm going to be balanced, I need to have time to laugh. I need to have time to, joke. I need to have time to just breathe a little bit. I need to have time also in my schedule for rest. Okay. I need to rest. Why? Because without proper rest, I will not be effective. Okay. Without proper rest, I will not be effective and I will not be balanced. Okay, so I need to recognize that I need to have some activities outside of my work. If I work 8 to 10 hours a day, that's wonderful. Then I need to be able to pause and break and give myself, maybe 2 hours of recreation or something that I can invest in myself to bring balance. All right. So I have to be intentional. Okay. Very intentional. Be intentional. Maybe plan walks in the park or walks around your neighborhood, right? Plan to read a book, plan to watch a favorite movie, plan to call some of your friends, right? These are things that we have to be intentional about. Create an intentional plan, right? That's outside of just our imbalance or the area that we're heavily leaning on, the area that we're heavily working in. So to balance, remember what I said, if I'm going to balance, then I understand that balance literally is having equal parts, is functioning in equal parts, right? It's putting things in the proper perspective in equal parts, okay? So I can never say that I'm functioning in a place for balance to operate when I'm not moving in equal parts, all right? Stability, all right? Stableness, right? Even distribution, right? It's the condition, again, which different elements are equal or in correct proportions, okay? So balance means I have correct proportions operating in my life, right? I have correct proportions functioning in my life, okay? So in this space, I want you to understand that if I'm going to be balanced, right, I have to be balanced even in my marriage, okay? In my marriage, I need to have date nights, right? I need to have a time of sharing. I need to have a time for us to just relax, maybe not do anything, just lay around and just be in each other's company, right? So that's all a part of balance. So if I'm married and I don't spend time with my spouse, then I need to go back and work on correcting that because that's an imbalance, okay? So your spouse should not be starving for time with you, starving to be with you. That means there's an imbalance somewhere, okay? So you need to, whether you're single or whether you're married, you need to plan vacations, right? Travel out of town, 3 days, 5 days, 1 week, 2 weeks, several times a year to create balance, okay? And you say, well, I don't have the money for that or I can't do that. Create staycations, right? Staycations are just small outings in your local town, or you can do something in your own home. You can, plan an event, section off a room if you have kids and say, kids don't go past this point at a particular time. And then you and your spouse can create an atmosphere. I remember in some of my younger years, I would create scenes. So if I wanted to say, okay, maybe we couldn't afford to go to the beach at that time, I would create a scene. I would have the beach ball. I'd lay out the towels. I put on some music. I put a lot of lights in the room, put some pictures on the wall. And I would go all out and then say, okay, this is our fun day at the beach. And maybe I would create a lunch so that we could just be in there and relax and have fun outside of the children, and it was creative, right? So be creative. If it's a staycation, be creative. Don't just say, well, we're just home laying around every day. No, put some energy in it. put some action in it, and you'll find that it's a lot of fun, okay? You'll have a great time. So your staycation can be just as fun, just as active as going on a literal vacation where you travel or you go out of town or go somewhere else, right? Also, when you're talking about that same area, you can have balance by literally just going to a hotel in your local city, just getting out, changing scenery, right? Going into a different place, right? Because balance is everything, okay? When you have balance, everything begins to work out, right? All work and no fun is not good, right? All work and no fun is not good. So you need to do something for fun, something small, anything that can open you up to bring balance, right? And if you're all fun and no work, guess what? You're not going to go far in life. So you need to have that balance, right? You need to make sure that you're balancing multiple areas for the fulfillment to come to pass. Now, I want to say something here because I know this is very a subject that all of us, no matter what field, what career we're in, all of us can really have to deal with this particular thing. But I want to talk to just briefly some of the ministers of the gospel, because I believe I'm a minister of the gospel, and sometimes we have to learn balance, right? We can constantly be going, you know, preaching, praying for people, ministering, traveling, studying. But then we can feel like we can't take a break, right? But we must. I want to tell you, we must take a break. We have to put ourselves in position to say, I'm going to take a break. I'm going to wait a moment. I'm going to make sure that this thing comes to pass. Because why? I have to learn how to balance myself, right? So I literally have to learn how to do things outside of ministry, outside of church, outside of preaching, right? I have to learn, even if I'm going to be with my spouse, every conversation shouldn't be about the church, about the ministry, but I have to learn how to put a balance in there, right? And put boundaries in there, right? So learning how to relax is very important. Learning how to rest is very important. Even if it's just a few hours a week, right? We need to have balance, all right? Somebody say balance, right? Remember, it's the condition in which different elements are equal or in correct proportions. So we have to evaluate ourselves. This is a serious lesson for everybody. This is a serious lesson, right? Women, you have multiple roles, right? You have your family, you're a mother, you're a teacher, you're a wife, you're an entrepreneur, maybe you're a business owner, all of these things that you're doing, but then you have to always remember balance, right? Men, you may be working, you may have, other chores or duties around the house. You may be an entrepreneur as well on the side. You may be working with your children or taking them to different places. But remember, we have to have balance, okay? So we want to make sure that we do this in every area, all right? How about food balance, okay? When we're talking about food balance, we have to eat nutritious foods, right? We have to hydrate ourselves, okay? Drink lots of water, right? We have to find time to do some type of physical exercise, right? Some type of routine, okay? Just something basic. Go for a walk every day, right? Something basic. Putting that physical balance in your body so that your body is able to what? Be sufficient, okay? To move, to active. It's not hurting every minute, all right? Balance yourself with your sleep, okay? Because sufficient sleep is necessary for your body to be revitalized, to feel refreshed, to feel energized, to feel great about yourself, right? So food balance is important, right? Physical exercise, that's important. Sufficient sleep, that's important. You think, you can go off of 3 hours of sleep for, a long time. It's no good for your body. You're hurting your body. You have to make sure that you spend time to rest properly, right? And that time of rest may be different from everybody. Maybe 5-6 hours for some, maybe 8 to 9 hours for others, right? But you want to make sure that you get that balance in your body. How you eat and how you sleep is very, very, very important in your balance, okay? Again, our topic this week is on balance, right? So we're talking about how to balance our lives, right? And again, balance is simply, it's a condition where all the elements are equal or they're in correct proportions, right? Those elements in your life are in correct proportions. So there's not, this thing is so much and this is barely, functioning. You want to get it balanced out. So everything is in operation. Everything is moving. Everything is functioning in the proper balance. All right. How about family balance or friend balance, right? Making time for friends and family, creating a balance in our personal lives, right? Having a support system. It's very important. It makes us feel, cared for, makes us feel loved, right? So balance in our relationships are very important because it helps us to have that circle of giving and receiving, okay? So if I'm going to be balanced in my relationships, then I need to understand, about giving and also about receiving. So I want to make sure that I'm in the proper alignment so that I can make sure that I have family balance, all right? How about emotional balance? Sometimes we don't even think about this, right? Emotional and mental balance, right? Finding that space, to have that downtime, okay? Having that downtime to rejuvenate yourself. Having that downtime to say, you know what, I'm going to be in position. I'm not going to be, overly stressed. I'm not going to be, over emotional, right? When you find yourself in that state, maybe you're imbalanced, okay? You need to go back and work on those areas of balance. Balance for what? Your emotional and your mental state, all right? So in way to fix that is you have to have downtime, all right? Time to just be quiet, time to be silent, time to refocus your mind, time to refocus your body, time to refocus your spirit, time to just refuel yourself. All right? So take time. This is very important. Emotional balance is important. Why? Because if you're not emotionally balanced, you're going to be through the roof, over the top. Everything's going to be bothering you. You're going to be, overwhelmed. But when you understand about, emotional balance, you're going to take that time. Refresh, refuel your mind, your body, your spirit. Take that time, right, to just pause, in the morning as you're starting your day, and then again in the evening as you're winding down. Pause, reflect on the things that were good, reflect on what's important, reflect on how things have worked out for you, right? Use that time just to connect with yourself, okay? Put that balance in there so you can connect with yourself. You're in position for yourself to be able to function. You're in position for you to be able to operate in the way that you need to operate, okay? So it's going to help you to fulfill what you need to fulfill, all right? So for balance, you're going to have to do this, all right? You're going to have to choose your battles. Every battle is not yours, okay? Every battle is not yours. You can't fix everything. All right, I'm talking to somebody today. Type that in the chat box. I can't fix everything. I can only fix what I can today. Okay? You can't fix it all, but you can fix what you can for today. All right? So you have to choose your battles because why? You have to stay balanced. All right? You can't go and run and help 25 people, right? When you don't have the capacity to do that. You can't go and help 1,000 people maybe when you don't have the capacity to do that. You have to choose your battles. Know how you can effectively serve those who are around you, whether it's your staff, whether it's your team, whether it's your job, whether it's your family, whether it's your children, whether it's your business, right? Choose your battles, okay? And then be your biggest fan. Know what's your maximum capacity of what you can do and know what's the least capacity of what you can do. And then stay in between that, okay? Be your biggest fan. Say, I'm doing great at where I am. This is the best I can do right now. I'm continuing to grow. I'm much better than I was, right? Look at yourself to see the proportions of how you learn to grow and balance yourself the better, okay? Make sure that you put yourself first. A lot of times imbalance happens because people can get used to maybe, you know, helping their family, helping their friends, helping their children, helping their spouse, working on their job, you know, everything. And then you forget about yourself, but you have to put yourself first. You have to make sure you put yourself in there to say, you know what, I have to have balance, because you won't be any good if you do everything for everybody else and nothing for yourself. All right. And that's why when I said it's so important to have that emotional balance, you have to make sure you're in a good space so that you're able to bless or help other people be in a good space, right? Especially if you're in a job that's maybe customer service oriented, or you have an entrepreneur spirit and you're serving people and giving to people, or a minister of the gospel. You have to pour out to people. You have to love on people. You want to make sure, you know, that you understand, put yourself first, balance yourself first, so that you can be effective for those that are coming behind you. Okay, then, you know, make sure that, again, you know when to say no. You can't always say yes. Know when to say no. All right, know when to say no. Embrace your uniqueness and ask for support when needed. All right, and I'm going to take that last minute or two just to share on this. All right, ask for what? Support when needed. If you're going to be empowered and impacted, if you're going to have balance, you got to be able to ask. If you know you don't have the capability to do it, ask somebody. Make a call, send a text. You know, lean on someone else to help make sure that the balance is there so you don't get overwhelmed. When you start to feel overwhelmed, maybe it's because you didn't ask, or you didn't get the support that was needed, or maybe you took on too much that you weren't able to accomplish a particular thing, and you don't want to get out of imbalance. All right. So today, again, I just want to encourage all of you with this teaching. I pray that it blessed you. And I want you to remember this. If you're going to go far, far, far in life, no matter what capacity, whether it's natural, spiritual, or business, you need to recognize that I have to have balance. And in order to have balance, I have to make sure that I understand that I need to get all of the elements that are functioning in my life into correct proportions, right? Balance, getting all the elements in my life into what? Correct proportions. So I want to encourage you as you go forth throughout this month, make sure you establish a proper balanced life. Because as you balance your life will go farther and farther and farther than you ever thought possible. God bless you. This is your host again, Dr. DeJuan Jackson, and I pray that you've been blessed by this episode of Deborah's Voice. Remember, go and prosper in the way.